welcome Billy Sebell of the XDC Foundation to discuss EVM is the ecosystem.
All right, thank you. So I'm here to talk about EVM is the ecosystem. This may be the least technical talk you're going to have here today, just so you know. So my name is Billy Sebell, and I am the Executive Director of the XDC Foundation. XDC Network is an enterprise-grade, EVM-compatible smart contracts platform. We're uniquely focused to revolutionize the trade finance industry. So I have a couple of objectives here. One is to complete this presentation in 10 minutes. One is that you walk away with a clear distinction between the difference between a network and an ecosystem, and that you leave here with a renewed sense of purpose in building the ultimate EVM blockchain ecosystem. So if you were actually to look up the definition of a network and an ecosystem, you would see that a network is actually a group or system of interconnected people or things, like a trade network. Whereas an ecosystem is a biological system composed of all the organisms found in a particular physical environment, interacting with it and with each other, or something that resembles this, like a blockchain network. So if you think about it, a network itself is a way to interconnect, and an ecosystem is the way that the participants interact with each other and the network. So at XDC, we actually have this saying, it's success depends on your network. And this really actually speaks not to the technical side of it, but to all the factors that go into having a vibrant ecosystem. And that's about people, how they interact, who comes to the network, who do you draw to the network, what's your purpose behind it. So another distinction is that people who write code build networks. People with vision manifest vibrant ecosystems. And ultimately, this is something that comes down to why you do something. So it's always the reason why you do something that's going to bring the life to the project that you have in front of you. It's going to draw people to what you're doing, and it's going to make the difference between just building something technically and actually building something that people are drawn to. So building a successful ecosystem requires an ethos. It also requires you to be egoless and purposeful. So I often would say to people that, we talk about a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, but really I look at it as a decentralized, like a DAO, a decentralized egoless organization. If you really want to bring people to the table to do something on your network, if you really want to serve your network, if you want to create something that's actually really special, then you actually really have to put the network, the community, and everything that you're building in front of anything else as a priority. And this is really critical to building a successful ecosystem. So EVM is the ecosystem. So what does this actually mean? What is this about? So successful ecosystems spawn ecosystems. If you think about any type of, I mentioned a biological ecosystem, you need to have the ingredients for life. In order for life to start, you need to have the fuel, you need to have all of the ingredients for that life to flourish. And ecosystems are no different than any natural organism, right? I mean, you have people, you have ideas, you have businesses, you have independent contributors, community members, people coming who bring code, and then you have and develop code, and they are key. And by the way, developers are key to any successful network. The difference between talking about code and those that code and those that actually are bringing vision is that there are many, many coders that bring vision to what they do. And that's a key to having a successful network. It's all part of the same. So then, why are there so many EVM networks? And really, if you look around this whole event, you have EVM-compatible chains running bounties or grants for hackathons. You have all sorts of participants here that came out of Ethereum and the EVM ecosystem. And ultimately, the reason you have that is because there's a lot less barriers to having to develop that network. The code, everything is there. You can copy it. You can then do what you want with it. But ultimately, people come from one ecosystem, like we talk about spawning, and they move or create another because they usually have an idea, something they think. Maybe they think they're going to build a better, faster network. Some people want to focus on a particular niche industry. For XDC, as an example, we're focused on trade finance in large part, and that's really what we've been doing. We've been putting all of the ingredients into the ecosystem in order to develop that. So you really want to ask yourself, what are we really doing? So are we building dApps to run on multiple EVM networks? Or are we building interconnected EVM ecosystems that interact with each other in order to create a broader, more vibrant global ecosystem? And there's a difference here. These are fine lines that you see from one to the other, but the reality is that if you're going to do something that is going to transcend time in the things that you develop, then you have to look at your approach as being transcendental, right? You have to look at it as, how am I going to actually take something that I'm working on and really create something of value over the long term? Not just build an app that's going to run here, and then, oh, by the way, I can port it over to here or port it over to there. So ultimately, in order to really do this, you have to be in action. And being in action means you have to have purpose. You have to be a visionary. It's not about being a coder. You need coders, but you have to be a visionary coder. You have to be a visionary ecosystem developer. Everything you do, you need to be visionary about. And you need to focus on people and ecosystems interacting with each other. That's really the key. The key is, are you creating the kind of energy that draws those people to you? Do they want to come to your chain, and do they want to build? And we hear a lot of times, people move from chain to chain, and ultimately, we may be told something to the effect of, well, we came here because we actually got that you guys cared about what you were building. And when you hear that, it's a difference maker when you realize all of the work you've done to build a network that you want people to come to. You realize that that's actually the value proposition. Because at the end of the day, speed of a network and cost of a transaction ultimately come down to nothing more than a commodity. And that's what it will always be at the end of the day, that part of the technology. The other is you want to compete with each other, not against each other. I know obviously any industry or market is going to be competitive, but the thing is, working together actually makes a dramatic difference in the ability to be able to move your effort forward. Put aside the differences between what you're doing and what another chain might be doing, and figure out what you can do together to bring value to the marketplace or to the community or to other networks. It's not just about building bridges. It's about what do you do once you've built those bridges. And always look where you can add value, because that's the biggest key to anything that you can do, whether it's building a blockchain network or anything else you're doing in life. The thing to remember here is that the future that lies ahead is the one that we choose to create. That's my 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy Sebell of XDC Foundation.